Welcome back to Valencia. I'm Nick Harris, sitting alongside me Matt Burt, down in pit lane Dylan Gray. It's the final showdown.
The final front row, Lorenzo, Marquez, Pedrosa. Row 2, Aleix Espargaro. Cal Crutchlow, technical problems mean he'll have to start from the back of the grid. Bradley Smith in 6th place.
Third row of the grid coming up. It's Andrea Iannone, the top Ducati, Paul Espargaro and Andrea Dovizioso. 4th row, Danilo Petrucci, Maverick Vinales, double winner here. Michele Pirro, also a winner here in Moto 2.
Row 5, Bradle, Barbara and Loris Baz. Row 6, Nicky Hayden on his farewell appearance in Moto GP, ahead of Yoni Hernandez and Alvaro Bautista.
Scott Redding, Jack Miller won the Moto 3 race here last year, and Mike DeMeglio. Row 8, Amp West, Eugene Lafferty and Tony Elias. And what about this last row, Matt?
Brock Parks. And yes, your eyes are not deceiving you, it's Valentino Rossi in 26th place. Although we saw Rossi getting instructions from the officials that Cal Crutchlow will be starting next to him.
Here is the front row. All the talking, everything that has been said, discussed, argued about, now disappears. And here is poor old Cal Crutchlow having to start from that back row after a mechanical problem with the LCR Honda. The final warm-up lap of the season, the final showdown of this extraordinary 2015 MotoGP World Championship. Who will be champion, Valentino Rossi or Jorge Lorenzo?
It's a cauldron atmosphere here at the Ricardo Tormo circuit in Valencia. Jorge Lorenzo or Valentino Rossi, 30 laps away from being crowned the 2015 MotoGP World Champion. It's all on the line, all to play for in the next 43 minutes or so. Lorenzo versus Rossi.
Final word with you, Dylan. Conditions look perfect.
No, absolutely amazing conditions. You would not believe the atmosphere down here, the atmosphere from the crowds. I think it has to be one of the best races ever known. It's great conditions to go racing in. Quick word on Crutchlow, it was an engine problem. That's the reason he has to start from the back of the grid on his number 2 machine.
110,130 lucky people to be here in the Mediterranean sunshine in Valencia. 600 journalists from all over the world. This is the sporting event worldwide this weekend. Let's have a look at those championship standings.
7 points. Valentino Rossi leads Jorge Lorenzo in the World Championship. Tension builds inside the factory Yamaha garage. Can Jorge Lorenzo become only the 3rd rider in MotoGP history to overturn a points deficit coming in to the final round of the championship? We're about to find out here in Valencia.
Valentino Rossi takes his place on that back row of the grid. Jorge Lorenzo is already there in pole position. 30 laps, 4.005 kilometres, 2.489 miles. The talking has stopped. The championship will now be decided out on the track.
And it's a dream start by Jorge Lorenzo from pole position. Look at Valentino Rossi streaming up the inside down into the first corner. It's going to be 99 Lorenzo though that leads the way from Danny Pedrosa, who's come through from the second row of the grid. There's Rossi trying to find his way back through the field. He's already up the inside of a few riders. Rossi now at the inside of Loris Baz at turn number 2. Lorenzo though leads the way. Rossi siding his way through the field.
Wow, he's coming through there like a knife through butter at the moment. Pedrosa up the inside of Marc Marquez. Lorenzo, though, has got the dream start.
Valentino Rossi's already picked up 10 places on the opening lap. He's up to 16th place, but his biggest fear is that Jorge Lorenzo's going to start cruising away at the front. Next in line for Valentino Rossi is number 68, Yoni Hernandez on that Pramo Ducati. Marc Marquez now leading the charge on Lorenzo. Andrea Iannone's up into 4th place. The 2 Ducatis got a good start because Dovizioso's up into 5th place from 9th on the grid.
Into turn 10 they come, the first of these 2 right-handers. There is a Valentino Rossi. Right behind, right in front of him is a Yoni Hernandez. Safely through they come. Turn 12, 13 coming up. Lorenzo got the dream start after that fantastic qualifying lap. 99 leads the way. 99 leads the World Championship at the moment by 17 points. Take no notice of that. That is going to change. 1 lap gone.
Rossi needs help from the Hondas, no doubt about that. Lorenzo leads over the line at the end of the first lap. Valentino Rossi then down in 15th place. He's about to move up the inside of Nicky Hayden, the 2006 world champion. Hayden will run out a little bit wide. Rossi can't find a way through on that powerful Pramac Ducati. Rossi will finally make it stick up the inside of Hayden down into the midfield corner. This is where the championship was decided between the two of those back in 2006.
Oh, it's pretty hectic there for Valentino Rossi, trying to carve his way back through the field. There he is, 46. He lost the championship here 9 years ago to Nicky Hayden at the front. Lorenzo not able to get away from Marquez. I'm sure both the Hondas know they mustn't let him escape at the front.
Rossi having real difficulty finding a way through on number 68, Yoni Hernandez. No way through there as they run down on the brakes. There is no Rossi, brilliantly late on the brakes. He's finally past the South American. The crowd go wild here in Valencia. All 110,000 of them there cheering on their hero. Rossi then now up into 14th place. And he's up the inside of Bautista as well. Super aggressive from Rossi. He's on the charge.
Rossi on the charge up the inside of Alvaro Bautista. There is Rossi. I think that's Stefan Bradl in front of him. It is Stefan Bradl in front of him. Championship gap now 14 points.
If Lorenzo wins this race, then second place is only good enough for Valentino Rossi to win this World Championship. Lap 2 of 30 has been completed, and Lorenzo set the fastest lap of 1:31.416. Rossi in the slipstream of Stefan Bradl's Aprilia. Rossi picks up one more place down into the brakes at the first corner. Valentino Rossi now up into 11th place. He's on the fringe of the top 10. Next in sight is Michele Pirro.
He is a man on a mission. He is in the zone. Lorenzo still leads at the front. Fastest lap of the race to Jorge Lorenzo, 1:31.416. We were worried this might be a damp squib after all the excitement. This is even better than we thought it was going to be.
Can Lorenzo get away? That's got to be the big question in terms of the outcome of this World Championship, because Valentino Rossi down in 11th place, but he's over 5 seconds back of the... This is where he picked off Hernandez on the last lap. He's up the inside of another Ducati on this lap. He dispenses with Michele Pirro at turn number 8. This is where Rossi went down in qualifying yesterday. Rossi then inside the top 10 for the first time.
Now it's 12 points between him and Jorge Lorenzo. Lorenzo still leads the way at the front. The two Hondas.
Iannoni's down.
Andre Iannoni has crashed out. And that means that's another place for Valentino Rossi. Iannoni has crashed out of the race. Now it's 12.
Iannoni down at turn number 12. He gambled to run the asymmetric front tyre. We were worried about it overheating on the right-hand side. Was that the issue for the factory Ducati man? Jorge Lorenzo has put in another fastest lap of this race, a 1:31.367. He's almost half a second clear now of Marquez. Rossi then up to 9th place. His next in sights is Bradley Smith, but he's 1.3 seconds behind the Tech 3 Yamaha man.
He's in the groove now, is Jorge Lorenzo. This is the sort of stuff we saw from him in qualifying yesterday through turns 4 and 5. Marquez behind him. That is a new circuit record, 1:31.367 for Jorge Lorenzo. Up to the Angel Nieto corner, named after the 13 times world champion. 11 points now between Lorenzo and Rossi, but still 26 and a half laps to go.
Rossi's taken 0.3 of a second in the first two splits out of Bradley Smith. In fact, he's now taken half a second out of Smith in those first two sectors. So Rossi chasing down Smith for 8th place. The gap now under 0.8 of a second. Here is Lorenzo heading for the 2015 MotoGP World Championship as it stands. That live championship standings on the right-hand side of your screen. Here is Rossi, and he's coming right up now on this battle involving Pol Espargaro, Danilo Petrucci and Bradley Smith. This is for the top 6.
This is where it would tell. He's coming up against now some pretty quick riders, but he's closed right up on them. There is the trio in front of him. We ride with Bradley Smith. In his face is Valentino Rossi.
Rossi started this lap 1.2 seconds behind Bradley Smith. He's smelling his exhaust pipes now. The gap now between Rossi and Smith is under 0.2 of a second. Valentino Rossi has just put in his personal best lap of the race, a 1:38.820. It's 0.3 of a second slower than Jorge Lorenzo. Marc Marquez desperately trying to put the pressure on Lorenzo. He just set his own personal best lap of the race, but Lorenzo still has the advantage by just over 0.4 of a second. Back with Bradley Smith, who picks off Danilo Petrucci down at turn number 4. Petrucci fights back at turn number 5. We're on board with Rossi.
Rossi can pick off 3 riders here, soon he can pick off Smith and Petrucci. They will not be easy as they fight amongst themselves. 25 and a half laps to go. We ride with Bradley Smith. Smith is running in 8th place. Rossi is running 9th. Rossi desperate to get past him. On the brakes, closes up Valentino Rossi. We switch now back to Bradley Smith.
Through 9, this fast kink, and then they'll flick it left through turns number 10 and 11. Rossi had a look up the inside, thought about a look up the inside of Bradley Smith. Smith, though, sweeps it back to the apex. Smith has another look up the inside of Petrucci, going through turn number 12. No way through there for the British rider. Valentino Rossi still not able to make a move on Smith and Petrucci. What this is doing, it's giving Paul Espargaro a bit of breathing space in 6th place.
What it's doing is also a bit of breathing space for Jorge Lorenzo at the front. Rossi's got to get through quickly. He knew this would happen. Carved through the early numbers, but now he's having problems. Here comes Rossi up the inside of Bradley Smith, but no, he just cannot get through.
Marc Marquez, for the 2nd lap in a row, has just put in his personal best of the race, a 1:31.455. He's doing everything, is the number 93. He'll lose the MotoGP crown at the end of this race. He knows that, but he's doing his utmost to put pressure on Jorge Lorenzo. Dani Pedrosa desperately clinging on in 3rd place. Rossi still no way through on Smith or Petrucci through 5.
Yeah, this is the first big stumbling block for Valentino Rossi. We had to expect this. We couldn't expect him to just carve his way through the field. Here we go. There's Andrea Dovizioso, Aleix Espargaro, Pol Espargaro, Danilo Petrucci, and as Rossi got past Bradley Smith, listen to the crowd. You know he has.
Yeah, Rossi's been brilliant on the brakes going down into that turn number 8. He picks off Smith. That's where he took Hernandez. That's where he took Michele Pirro. The gap now 10 points between Lorenzo and Rossi. Are the Hondas, though, going to run into those front tyre issues? Is Marquez and Pedrosa's right-hand side of the tyre going to start overheating? We'll find out very, very shortly, because the gap between Lorenzo and Marquez, Lorenzo's eked it out again to just over 4.5 tenths of a second.
Next on Valentino Rossi's shopping list that he has to tick off is his great mate Danilo Petrucci. Of course, finished 2nd to Valentino Rossi in that rain-soaked British Grand Prix at Silverstone. They race down towards turn 1. 24 laps to go. Another epic MotoGP battle in front of 110,000 people here in Valencia. Listen to the crowd. Rossi through on Petrucci, who runs it wide. Smith goes through as well.
Yeah, it didn't look like he had to work too hard, did it, for that move on Danilo Petrucci. Petrucci had a good long look over his shoulder. Rossi then through into 7th place. Pol Espargaro in 6th. He's about 1 second clear of this battle for 7th place. Petrucci ran so wide into the Mick Doohan corner at turn number 2. Bradley Smith was able to sweep through as well. Lorenzo was 0.2 of a second quicker on that lap number 6. The advantage over Marc Marquez. It's over half a second for the first time in this race.
It's down to 9 points. An advantage for Jorge Lorenzo in the World Championship. There is Rossi pulling away from Bradley Smith. Next on the shopping list, Bradley Smith's teammate, Pol Espargaro. And then his older brother, Aleix Espargaro. And then the fun and games will really start.
In the first 3 sectors of this lap number 7, Valentino Rossi has already picked up 0.4 of a second on Pol Espargaro on that Tech 3 Yamaha. Here is Lorenzo then over the line to start lap number 8, and the gap is almost up to 0.7 of a second. Lorenzo marginally quicker again on that last lap from Marquez.
Here is Rossi. There's still a long, long way to go. There's still 23 laps to go. We're not even anywhere near 3rd distance at the moment. Can he do it? There's the men in front of him. Next there, Pol Espargaro, number 46.
Well, Rossi's wide.
Rossi's gone wide at turn 2.
That would have cost him a couple of tenths as he tried to hunt down Pol Espargaro. It's bunching up in that battle for 4th place between Dovizioso, the Espargaro brothers, and Rossi, who's moved relatively easy away from Bradley Smith. 0.6 of a second the gap now.
22.5 laps to go. Jorge Lorenzo leads the way. Rossi is trying to fight his way back. As we stand at the moment, Jorge Lorenzo is world champion.
Jorge Lorenzo sitting pretty just where he wanted to be at the front of this race on lap number 8. His advantage over Marc Marquez still just over 0.6 of a second. Dani Pedrosa making little impression in 3rd place. This is where we lost Andrea. You know, he had a 4th at turn number 12. earlier on in the race. What's the gap between Pol Espargaro and Valentino Rossi? Rossi charging again. The gap's come down to 0.4 of a second. That's a fight for 6th and 7th place. Rossi, though, with Lorenzo leading over the line to start lap number 9. He's got to come through to 2nd place. It looks like even beyond the capabilities of the mercurial Italian.
Here we are, there's Dovizioso, Aleix Espargaro, Pol Espargaro, and there is Valentino Rossi. Long way to go, 22 laps to go. What can the Hondas do at the front? Can they haul back on Lorenzo? I think that is the absolute key. So I can't really see Rossi getting up with the Hondas, can you?
Yeah, this was Rossi on the previous lap, just running in a fraction too hot on the brakes, in a little deep down at turn number 2. But this is a real heavy four-rider scrap now for 4th place. It's being headed by the factory Ducati of Andrea Dovizioso, but there's less than a second now covering Dovizioso in 4th, down to Rossi in 7th place. We're on board with Rossi through the Angel Nieto corner. Now this is where Rossi's been really strong on the brakes, down into turn number 8. He's not going to be close enough to strike on Pol Espargaro on this lap.
He can really do his chances a great deal of good. There's 3 in front. He's got to snaffle them up pretty quick. He's closing on Pol Espargaro all of the time. Down through turn 11, little short straight, then that left-hand kink at turn 12. Where will he make his move? Here we go, turn 12 now, up through 13, over the rise they will come. And Rossi closing on Pol Espargaro all the time. Now, can he get a run down the start and finish straight, down into turn 1? Yeah, the factory Yamaha against the satellite Yamaha.
This is where Rossi will be looking to dive up the inside of Pol Espargaro down into turn 1. Is he going to be close enough? No, he'll definitely try and get close enough to line up a move on Espargaro down at the 2nd corner. Here we are then, it's the Espargaro brothers just ahead of Rossi. Is he close enough? No, he's not. Pol Espargaro really late on the brakes. Rossi closes up.
We ride with Valentino Rossi. Lorenzo's advantage at the front, coming up to around 0.7 of a second. Dovizioso, Aleix Espargaro, Pol Espargaro, and Valentino Rossi still running in 7th place. Can he get up into 6th? We ride with him. This is where he likes it. He's up the inside. Listen to the crowd. Valentino Rossi has passed. They touch. Him and Pol Espargaro touch elbows, but Rossi has made his way through.
Well, he had to be aggressive coming from the back of the grid. That's exactly what he has been. Valentino Rossi, he picks up 1 more place, and for the first time in this race, Rossi inside the top 6. Here we go. This is that move at turn number 6. Ran Pol Espargaro out a little bit wide. Espargaro, you could see clearly Rossi was on the inside there. It was a hard move, but it was a fair move, no doubt about that. Cal Crutchlow, of course, who had to start this race from the back of the grid after those technical problems. He's just got himself up into the point scoring places. 15 for Crutchlow. Lorenzo over the line. Marquez, that gap has stayed pretty much constant now for the last 2 or 3 laps. Marquez 0.6 of a second behind Lorenzo. Danny Pedrosa 1.5 seconds behind Marc Marquez. Rossi then using that superior horsepower of the Yamaha down the start finish straight to close up on Aleix Espargaro on the Suzuki. This is the battle for 5th place and more precious World Championship points for the Doctor.
20 laps to go, 8 points now separate Jorge Lorenzo and Valentino Rossi. Next on the shopping list, Aleix Espargaro on the Suzuki. Will it again be that Angel Nieto corner, or will he do it coming into turn 8? He's closing up for the kill, is Valentino Rossi.
Yeah, not close enough at turn 6, but what he's going to do, he's going to get in the draft of Espargaro down to turn number 8. This has been his favourite overtaking spot in this race. Is he close enough? We know Aleix Espargaro is a real demon on the brakes, and we know that Suzuki's got phenomenal braking stability. It's one of the sweetest handling motorcycles on the grid, and Rossi as yet has not been able to find a way through by on that GSX RI. Can't find a way through there at turn number 10 either.
Through turn 11 he comes, Rossi so close to the Suzuki. Up to turn 12, here comes Rossi, right leg out, can't do it just there. Then they flick it left, over 13, 8 points between them as they come through 13 into 14. Rossi surely will make his move as they come out of here and drag down towards turn 1.
Rossi's Yamaha should have the legs on the Aleix Espargaro Suzuki, but Espargaro got great drive coming out of that final corner. Can Rossi close up? Here he comes out of the slipstream. Rossi's got the inside line. He'll make that move up the inside of Aleix Espargaro. He runs it a little bit deep. Espargaro takes 5th place back.
Oh, Still 8 points between them, and they cross the line. Marquez had pulled back another tenth of a second on Jorge Lorenzo at the front. There's Dovizioso, there is Alessio Spargo, and Valentino Rossi is through this time, and the crowd go wild, and this time he has made it stick, coming out of turn 5 up towards 6.
Brilliant move by Rossi on the brakes underneath the Suzuki of Alessio Spargo at turn number 5. So Rossi then up inside that top 5. He's got Andrea Dovizioso just ahead of him on track. Jorge Lorenzo is still leading this race. The gap's come down a fraction by 4/10 of a second now. Marquez is trying to close that gap back. He's picked up a couple of tenths on the last lap. Dani Pedrosa has upped his pace on the last lap actually. Pedrosa just set a personal best lap of the race. He was 4/10 of a second quicker than Lorenzo. Back with Rossi.
Rossi closing up on the Ducati of Andrea Dovizioso. What a battle these two had. The opening round of the championship in Qatar. Little did we realise where this championship would be going. Here comes Rossi, not quite close enough. Get the drive out of here. Down the start and finish straight they come. That Ducati has got a lot of grunt, as you can see. 7 points separate Lorenzo and Rossi. 18 laps ago, and the gap at the front, nearly half a second between Lorenzo and Marquez.
Andrea Dovizioso, one of the hardest men to pass in this MotoGP field. He's got the grunt of that Ducati coming out of turn 6 and turn number 14. He's a great late breaker, is Andrea Dovizioso. Not late enough though to hold off Valentino Rossi. The crowd go absolutely crazy in the background. Rossi then inside the top 4. The gap down to 7 points. That's the advantage that Rossi had coming into this race. It's now back down to 5 points. It's all about whether Marc Marquez or Dani Pedrosa can hunt down this man, Lorenzo, at the front of the race.
This championship is far from over. We're not even at half distance now. Okay, we've been featuring Valentino Rossi. Now we have to look at this battle. This could be crucial as the Hondas try to hunt down the Yamaha of Jorge Lorenzo. 5 points between them. What a climax to the MotoGP season. Who's going to be the world champion? Is it Lorenzo? Is it Rossi? Will my voice last the cause?
Lorenzo over the line to start lap number 14. He leads it by just over 4.5 tenths of a second from Marc Marquez. Dani Pedrosa still there in 3rd place. Here comes Valentino Rossi now in 4th place. He's come from the back row of the grid up to 4th place. Rossi, he's not going to finish on the podium unless there's something dramatic happens to Lorenzo, Marquez or Pedrosa, because Rossi over the line was 11.3 seconds behind Dani Pedrosa.
The only thing that can happen for Valentino Rossi is that the two Hondas pass Jorge Lorenzo. I think that's the correct scenario, isn't it? Because 2nd place will not be enough. If Lorenzo finishes 2nd, he will be world champion.
Yeah.
This is the battle now. This is the battle now that's going to decide the champion. How many times have we said the last 2 months Hondas are going to play a massive part in the outcome of this world championship? That is exactly what is happening.
This is as close as we've seen this gap between Lorenzo and Marc Marquez for some time. It's visibly closer, and it is. We can see it's now down to just over 3 tenths of a second. Lorenzo is the master at riding under pressure. He's the master at leading these races from start to finish. He very, very rarely cracks under pressure, does Lorenzo. Will he be able to survive this pressure cooker atmosphere, this pressure being exerted by Marc Marquez? They're about to come and complete the 14th lap of this Valencian Grand Prix. It's Lorenzo just from Marc Marquez.
I just want to get this right in my mind and for the viewer's mind. If Lorenzo finishes 2nd and Rossi remains in 4th place, Lorenzo will be world champion. Is that correct? I want to make it absolutely doubly sure. Yeah. If Lorenzo finishes 2nd, then Rossi needs to finish on the podium to become world champion. Because it's a big, big ask now for Valentino Rossi to catch those people in front.
Yeah, because what it'll mean is if Marquez passes Lorenzo, I think they'll finish on the same points. Oh. But Lorenzo actually has won more races, hasn't he? 6, it will mean 2-4.
Yeah, 6-4. Yeah, Marquez is not letting Lorenzo go away. And we're not half distance yet. Don't get carried away. Don't rule out Dani Pedrosa. Then it would be a very, very different story. Yeah. If Lorenzo then finished down in 3rd place, Rossi only needs to finish in the top 6. Over to you, Mr. Honda.
On board with Dani Pedrosa. This will be his 100th Premier Class podium. He's He's well clear of Valentino Rossi in 4th place. Not enough though for the 36-year-old to wrap up that 10th world title.
Although on his pit board he is now being told Rossi P4. They are making him very, very aware of that situation.
Wow, thanks Dylan. Take a big deep breath everybody. When they cross the line this time, it's only half distance. Seems like we've been here for days, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is going to be all about Jorge Lorenzo's concentration, his focus, as Marc Marquez, we just saw Marquez sweep through the first corner. Marquez now is as close as we've seen him to Jorge Lorenzo. There's Rossi over the line in what is now a safe 4th place. He's quickly broken away from that chasing pack. Rossi in 2 laps has taken 1.6 seconds out of Andrea Dovizioso. Here comes Marc Marquez now. He really is piling the pressure on Jorge Lorenzo. Watch this start earlier on from Valentino Rossi from the back row of the grid. Lorenzo got the dream start from the front row. Rossi got a brilliant launch off the line. He was obliterated away from Tony Elias from Brock Parks. He's already up the inside of Eugene Laverty. There's Jack Miller on the outside of the track. Scott Redding peeling around the outside as well. But Rossi had already picked up at least 6, 7, 8 places on that drag down to the first corner. And for the first time in this race, while we watch this start replay, the gap between Lorenzo and Marquez, it's just over 2/10 of a second.
Can the Hondas bring the World Championship to Valentino Rossi? One Honda is not enough. Marc Marquez passes Jorge Lorenzo, he still will be world champion.
Just cannot see Dani Pedrosa bridging that 1.8 second gap to Jorge Lorenzo, unless Lorenzo runs into some pretty major grip issues. Lorenzo going for a tear off down the start-finish straight. We're on board with Marc Marquez down this long run to this first corner, hard on the brakes, sweeping through turn number 1. The gap over the line was back up to just over 0.3 of a second. If there's a man who can manage a race by looking at his pit board, it's Jorge Lorenzo, make no doubt about that.
14 longest laps of Jorge Lorenzo's life.
Look at that from Jorge Lorenzo. We talk about his, well, he's known as the Hammer because he's so consistent, and that's why he is called the Hammer. Mid to high 131s throughout this race. His best lap at 131.3, his slowest lap at 131.8. Only half a second deviation in the lap times from Jorge Lorenzo. That metronomic consistency that he's become so famous for, and he needs to have that weapon this afternoon because Marc Marquez is not letting him get away at the front like we've seen in the past. Marquez still hovering around about 0.3 of a second behind Jorge Lorenzo. Will Marc Marquez come through to take what would be his 6th win of the season?
But one thing just to mention, obviously with Jorge Lorenzo's pit board, they're advising him where Rossi is very important, but also on Rossi's for motivation. It doesn't say any names in there, but right next to it you have P4 and P1, so he also knows all the time where Lorenzo is and also how far the gap is.
Yeah, they're not telling him where Marc Marquez or Dani Pedrosa is, are they? What a shot, turn 13, what a season, what a race. And Lorenzo still leads the way. 13 laps ago. The gap now around 0.4 of 1 second as they peel into turn 1. Pedrosa has already crossed the line. Rossi will cross the line any moment now. Valentino Rossi now just has to hope that the Hondas can catch the man. Paul Espargaro, Andrea Dovizioso to Paul Espargaro in front of Dovizioso. Bradley Smith behind Alessio Espargaro. Danilo Petrucci. Great ride by Cal Crutchlow, now up into 10th place. Michele Pirro in 11th, 12th is Johnny Hernandez, Maverick Vinales 13th, Batista 14th, and Bradle 15th.
That's where we are at in terms of the championship on this 18th lap of 30 here in Valencia. We're heading for a 12-point swing in favour of the man leading the race, Jorge Lorenzo. He came into this race trailing Valentino Rossi by 7 points, but with Lorenzo in the lead and Rossi in 4 after a great fight, you have to say, from the back of the grid. Then that 12-point swing puts it 5 points in favour of Lorenzo.
You're absolutely right though. If Marquez goes by, they will be equal on points, but Lorenzo will take the title because he has won more Grand Prix. Could it be closer than that?
Through the final corner then to complete lap number 18. It's still Lorenzo holding firm against this onslaught from Marc Marquez. Lorenzo over the line. The gap remains just over 0.3 of a second. Dani Pedrosa looks like his race has run for the victory because Pedrosa now has dropped 2.6 seconds behind Jorge Lorenzo. Rossi needs both the Hondas to finish in front of Lorenzo. Pedrosa, he's going to find it incredibly difficult. It's going to take a massive capitulation from Lorenzo to give up those 2.6 seconds to Pedrosa in third place.
Let's be bluntly honest here. It's going to take a massive mistake by Jorge Lorenzo if he's not going to be crowned the 2015 MotoGP World Champion. If Marquez gets past him, he will still be the World Champion because he has won more Grand Prix than Valentino Rossi. That is the simple fact.
And also bear in mind, remember what Marquez did in Phillip Island. He conserved that front tyre. They know they have overheating issues and actually did his fastest lap of the race on the final lap. So, you know, Marquez, I certainly think, would have something in reserve. As you say, Dani Pedrosa, he does sometimes struggle, but he'd normally be up to speed at this point.
Yeah, but he does come strong at the end of the race, always, Dani Pedrosa, but that is a fair old... It's too big a gap, isn't it? It's a rather lonely ride now for Valentino Rossi. There's nothing more he can do. He's just got to hang in there and hope that his teammate, his championship contender, is going to make one massive mistake. And you've got to say Jorge Lorenzo is not known for making massive mistakes when he's leading races.
Lorenzo stretched that advantage to just over 0.4 of a second again on that lap 19. Dani Pedrosa, he lost another couple of tenths on that last lap. 2.8 seconds he is now behind Lorenzo. Rossi over the line in a very lonely third place. He's 15 seconds, almost 16 seconds behind Lorenzo. He's streaked away from that chasing pack, which is being led by Pol Espargaro. Rossi 3.7 seconds clear.
Pol Espargaro having a good ride in fifth place. That's still a really good scrap. Pol Espargaro, Andrea Dovizioso, Bradley Smith, and late Espargaro. Great ride by Cal Crutchlow on the back of the grid. Fabulous ride by him.
Cal Crutchlow has just put in his personal best lap of the race, a 1:32.449. Cal Crutchlow will definitely feel that if he could have started from that fifth place on the grid, he would have been probably ahead of Pol Espargaro, Andrea Dovizioso and Bradley Smith, or certainly scrapping it out with that trio for fifth place.
We ride with Marc Marquez. The man in front of him is Jorge Lorenzo. Potentially, in great big letters, underlined 50 times, the 2015 World Champion.
Interestingly, on his board, they're now also showing him Dani Pedrosa's position, quite important because he needs to know that should Marquez have anything extra and gets past him, that he doesn't need to risk anything and fight back because he's got that extra margin.
Absolutely spot on, Dylan. They're telling him that without any shadow of a doubt, that second place is good enough to be world champion. He wants to win the race, but he doesn't want to get involved in a cat fight with Marc Marquez in the last few laps.
Yeah, the last thing you need with the World Championship at stake is to get into a bit of a dogfight with Marc Marquez. Rossi's dropped down into the 1:32.2s now.
Another thing about Lorenzo, he won't slow his pace in any way at all. He can run these laps all day long. The emphasis is on Marquez to increase his pace, because Lorenzo will run these till next Thursday morning if he has to.
And the best way to wrap up a World Championship is to do it by winning the race. No doubt about that. Lorenzo, of course, he did win the race here 2 years ago when he had a slim chance of overturning a 13-point deficit against the man we're on board with now, Marc Marquez. He won the race that day, but still lost the championship. We're facing, if Marc Marquez passes Jorge Lorenzo in the final 10 laps of this race, we're going to face the remarkable situation, because it will mean that Rossi and Lorenzo will finish on the same points. Lorenzo will be the world champion, but what it will mean is Rossi will have lost the world championship having never lost the outright points lead. Nobody would have ever been ahead of Rossi, would they, in the points?
What an amazing statistic. Yeah, that's right.
He has been behind Lorenzo before.
They were
in
equal
the
at the Silverstone, man. They're equally on points at Silverstone. We ride with Marc Marquez, 9 laps to go. The outcome of the 2015 World Championship is in favour of the 28-year-old Spaniard Jorge Lorenzo.
First time in the race, Nick, on that last lap, Lorenzo has just dropped into the 1:32s. It was a 1:32.035. He's still leading by just over 3/10 from Marc Marquez. Here is Rossi up through turn number 2. Pol Espargaro is leading the train behind
Marquez is close now, Matt. Yeah. He is really, really close.
He was 2/10 quicker.
Yeah, we ride with Lorenzo. There is Marquez behind him. I have to keep telling you, even if he finishes second, Lorenzo, he will be the world champion, only because he's won more Grand Prix.
And Marc Marquez, he's got his own personal goal in this race, I'm sure. You know, he's out there to win this race for Honda. He's out there to win the race for himself. But after all the accusations about him favouring Jorge Lorenzo, he'll want to win the race and probably bury that one as well.
8.5 laps to go. Tension at boiling point here in Valencia. Lorenzo's led the race from start to finish. The Hondas have harried him. Pedrosa's now dropped back to a very safe and secure third place. It's all about Marquez and Lorenzo. And Lorenzo knows, his board has told him, he'll know as well. Second place is enough for him to take the World Championship. But he will ride this pace all day long. He will not drop the pace because of that. 8 laps to go here in Valencia.
Dani Pedrosa was just the quicker of the top 3 on that last lap by a tenth of a second. Nothing to give Marquez or Lorenzo any big headaches in these final 8 laps. The gap still 2.5 seconds between Lorenzo and Dani Pedrosa. Paul Espargaro's doing a great job of holding off Andrea Dovizioso and Bradley Smith in that battle for 5th place. That would equal the Spaniard's best result of the season. Marquez, he can almost reach out and touch Lorenzo's back wheel now, couldn't he, Marquez?
Oh, please don't say that. 7.5 laps to go, a bit less than 7.5 laps to go. Here is Lorenzo, here is Marquez. Into turns 10 and 11. Slowest part of this Ricardo Tormo circuit. Dylan, how is it in pit lane? It must be
quiet.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
No,
yeah.
honestly, I don't think I've ever seen this many people just sat there, frozen, just watching the screens, not saying a single thing.
I think that's what this race is doing for us. I think this is what this championship has done for us. Into 14 they come. Marc Marquez's board tells him 2.1 seconds up on Dani Pedrosa. He's only got one thing in his mind, it's trying to beat Lorenzo. Lorenzo crosses the line, 0.3 of a second advantage. 7 laps to go. Pedrosa's over the line. We still wait for Valentino Rossi to arrive. This is a lonely old sad ride at the moment after a brilliant race by Valentino Rossi.
Yeah, Dani Pedrosa on that lap number 23 yet again was the quicker of the top 3. Now, was Dani Pedrosa just having to back off a little bit in the early stages of the race with those overheating front tyres? Has the front grip come back to Dani Pedrosa? Is he about to mount a late charge as Marc Marquez swarms again all over the rear tyre of Jorge Lorenzo? It's Jorge Lorenzo himself. He's led this race right from the start, as maybe Lorenzo pushed it a little bit too much. Is he going to come under real pressure from the 2 Repsol Hondas?
Well, the man we've got to keep an eye on, isn't it? There's only one man now, and that's Dani Pedrosa.
Yeah.
Can he close the gap? Just to remind you, if the 2 Hondas had finished in front of Lorenzo, Valentino Rossi would be the world champion. It's a mighty big ask for Dani Pedrosa.
This gap, Dani Pedrosa is the man on the charge. Dani Pedrosa through the 3rd split now. He's within 1.7 seconds of Jorge Lorenzo. He's picked up 0.8 of a second in the last lap and a half as Dani Pedrosa. We've talked all weekend. Is there one final dramatic twist in this 2015 World Championship? Is it all about to unfold in front of our eyes? 6 laps to go here in Valencia.
Wow. Down the start and finish straight, we ride with Lorenzo into turn 1. What about Dani Pedrosa?
Dani Pedrosa just did a 1:31.5. He was 0.4 of a second quicker than Marc Marquez. He was 0.3 of a second quicker than Jorge Lorenzo. He's now within 1.6 seconds of Marc Marquez. Pedrosa has got the time. He's got 6 laps to go. The one man who needs massive help. He needs a huge favour from Marc Marquez and Dani Pedrosa. It is this man, Valentino Rossi, because if the 2 Hondas move by Jorge Lorenzo in these final 6 laps, then Rossi will be the world champion.
Marquez again closes up on Jorge Lorenzo. Has he been looking after those tyres through turn 7, through the kink, now into turn 8? Is there a final twist? Is there a final part of this incredible book before the finish comes at the end of this race? 5.5 laps to go. Lorenzo still leads the way. This wouldn't be enough for him to be world champion. If he finished 2nd, it would be enough for him to be world champion. If he finished 3rd, Valentino Rossi would be the world title holder.
Dani Pedrosa is now within 1.5 seconds of this battle for the victory. Pedrosa just over 1.4 seconds back of Jorge Lorenzo and Marc Marquez. It's Lorenzo to come and complete lap number 25 in the lead. 5 to go here in Valencia. What's that gap between Marquez and Pedrosa? It's 1.4 seconds. Pedrosa again the quicker of the top 3.
Oh, we thought it was all over. It's not all over. And Marquez has not made a move yet on Lorenzo. You can bet your bottom dollar he will. And how fierce will that move be?
And what will happen, Nick, of course, is if Marquez passes Lorenzo, he'll have to engage with Marquez because Dani Pedrosa's right behind him. A few laps ago we thought, well, if Marquez comes through, he'll be able to just sit there in a fairly safe second place. With Dani Pedrosa closing hand over fist, then Jorge Lorenzo won't be able to relax for a second.
4.5 laps to go. What an extraordinary end to this 2015 MotoGP World Championship. 110,000 people are just watching with their mouths open. Is this title chase not over yet? Lorenzo is the world champion. There you can see Dani Pedrosa. Obviously you can see Marc Marquez. Valentino Rossi can just hope and pray that Honda remember those world championships he bought them before he switched to Yamaha.
Through 13, lap number 26. 4 to go for Jorge Lorenzo. He's on the cusp of winning a 5th Grand Prix World Championship. He's 3rd in MotoGP. Here he comes over the line. The gap between Lorenzo and Marquez is under 3/10. The gap between Marquez and Pedrosa, it's come down yet again. 1.2 seconds is the gap. Lorenzo again just drops in to the 132s, as does Marquez. And Dani Pedrosa a 131.898. Must be 5 or 6 laps in a row now that Dani Pedrosa has been faster on track than Lorenzo and Marquez. Has he got enough time to claw back those 1.5 seconds between himself and Jorge Lorenzo? Valentino Rossi certainly hopes so, because it's world championship on the line for the Italian.
Bradley Smith moves up into 6th place in front of Andrea Dovizioso, but Marquez closes up on Lorenzo. As Matt says, if he passes him, he will still be world champion, but Pedrosa is the man with all the speed. 5 points, Lorenzo leads the championship. They will be equal on points if Marquez gets by. He will win the title because he has more Grand Prix wins, but if Dani Pedrosa goes by, Rossi wins the title from 4th place.
This is unbelievable tension here in Valencia. They're through the 3rd split. Dani Pedrosa, the gap now 1.1 seconds. Lorenzo's getting the pit board. He knows now they're giving him a sign about Marquez and Pedrosa. Lorenzo, he's had the hammer down for 26 laps. He's got to get the hammer down again now, because they know Dani Pedrosa is the man on the charge. Will he still play a huge part in the destiny of this world championship? There we go. Marquez and Pedrosa, 1.3 seconds. The gap between Marquez and Pedrosa now, it's under a second. 1.1 seconds between Lorenzo and Pedrosa. 3 laps to go. Game on, the world championship at stake.
Lorenzo up at turn 2, the Mick Doohan corner, the 5 times world champion. Boy, I bet he's watching and enjoying this one. The 2 Hondas now harrying the Yamaha in front of them. Lorenzo hanging on by his fingernails. We ride with Lorenzo. When will Marquez make a move? Is this the move he's going to make? Right in his face, number 93. And Pedrosa, he's closing all the time. 2.5 laps to go. What an amazing race. What an amazing end to the season.
How is your nerves? Jorge Lorenzo. Dani Pedrosa closes up through turn number 8. 2.5 laps to go of the World Championship in 2015 here in Valencia. It's going to be decided, as Nick said, right down to the wire. Dani Pedrosa is edging ever closer. This is now a 3-way fight for the victory. What a second half to the race for Dani Pedrosa. You can hear a pin drop here in Valencia. There's 111,000 fans here. They are silent.
Not a word is spoken. Mouths are open. People just cannot believe this battle. Here they come once again, onto the back straight, onto the front straight. Lorenzo crosses the line. 2 laps to go. 2 to go. Marquez has not made a move yet. Pedrosa is right up there with them. The World Championship will be decided in 2 laps of the Ricardo Tormo circuit here in Valencia.
Dani Pedrosa was 7/10 of a second quicker than Lorenzo and Marquez on that last lap. He is right there. You wouldn't put it past Dani Pedrosa coming through to take a victory. It would be a sensational, a remarkable comeback from Dani Pedrosa. He was 2.5 seconds behind this battle through turn number 5. Pedrosa now hugging the rear tyre of Marc Marquez. Is Pedrosa going to make a move at turn number 6? He's not quite close enough.
This is amazing. This is motorsport at its very, very best.
Dani Pedrosa's taken second place from Marc Marquez. Marc Marquez tries to fight back. Lorenzo out a little bit wide. Marquez back up the inside of Dani Pedrosa. The two Repsol Honda men fighting. This is music to Lorenzo's ears while they're jotting it out. Lorenzo's away at the front.
It is music to Jorge Lorenzo. Swapping paint, swapping positions. 1.5 laps to go. Lorenzo is so close to that world title. The Hondas, well, of course they're going to fight with each other, but can they get past Lorenzo? That may be just the break that Jorge Lorenzo needed.
The biggest 2.5 miles of Jorge Lorenzo's career coming up. The final lap of an incredible 2015 MotoGP World Championship is underway. Will it be Lorenzo? Will it be Rossi? It's all about Marc Marquez and Dani Pedrosa. If they can find a way clear of Lorenzo, Rossi will be the world champion. Lorenzo under incredible pressure. He's held off those two Hondas so far through turn number 2. It's Lorenzo with one hand on the trophy.
Rossi crosses the line in 4th place. He can play no part in this battle. Lorenzo has 3/4 of a lap to go through 4. Through 5, up now towards turn 6. Marquez and Pedrosa at his heels all the time. Through the Angel Nieto corner. 5 points, he leads the championship.
Powering out of turn number 6 through the kink at 7. Lorenzo's not going to come under attack from Marc Marquez. He's ridden a perfect final lap so far as the number 99 through this tight, twisty infield section. No way through here for Lorenzo. Lorenzo's going to take the championship, surely.
Up through 9 and 10 for Jorge Lorenzo. Half a lap to go. One hand on that World Championship trophy. Now he dips it into turn 12. 2 bends to go.
Jorge Lorenzo standing on the brink of his 3rd World Championship. Dani Pedrosa's out of this. Lorenzo is going to come through the final corner. It's Lorenzo's now to lose.
Jorge Lorenzo will be crowned the 2015 MotoGP World Champion. 99 wins here in Valencia.
2015 belongs to Jorge Lorenzo. Joy and jubilation on one side of the factory Yamaha garage. It'll be contrasting emotions on the side of number 46. Valentino Rossi comes over the line. He put up a great fight, but Rossi is not the world champion.
Rossi crosses the line. 2nd in the World Championship. Jorge Lorenzo has ridden a most amazing race. He has ridden the race of a truly great world champion. Congratulations to Jorge Lorenzo. Enormous applause for Valentino Rossi. He actually could have done no more than what he did.
Well, it started in dramatic fashion in Qatar with Valentino Rossi winning the opening round. It's finished with unbelievable nail-biting tension right down to the last lap. If Dani Pedrosa and Marc Marquez had passed Jorge Lorenzo at the end of that race, then Lorenzo was seeing the World Championship slip through his fingers. He produced a brilliant last lap, did Jorge Lorenzo, to win that World Championship. His 7th win of the season, and for the 5th time in his career, the 3rd time in MotoGP. Jorge Lorenzo is the king of MotoGP.
We thought it might be a damp squib. Wow, what a race. And those last few laps.
Well, there you go.
Regardless, the man we've been talking to, talks to us every week. Just doesn't know what to think. I don't think Yamaha really know what to think. I know what the Jorge Lorenzo side of the garage think. A truly worthy world champion. Forget the shenanigans. He's won more Grand Prix than anybody else. And that was the ride of a world champion. That also was a ride of a world championship. Brilliant performance by Valentino Rossi, but he has lost his championship crown to this man.
5 points was the difference at the end of a remarkable 2015 MotoGP World Championship. Jorge Lorenzo, he said yesterday that qualifying lap in for pole position was the lap of his life. That last lap to hold off Marc Marquez and Dani Pedrosa has just bettered that, no doubt about that.
Brilliant stuff from Lorenzo. 2nd successive Grand Prix victory of the season. He's a serious championship contender. Lorenzo is a masterclass.
4th win in a row for the Spaniard.
Victory number 5 of the season. Jorge Lorenzo though wins here. What a race.
Yeah, almost speechless after that.
Mate, we knew this championship was going to go all the way.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's Jorge Lorenzo. That's friends of his dressed up in all of the leathers and helmets that he won his previous world championships, of course.
That's right. 251s as well there. Great idea. It's almost out of the almost out of the Valentino Rossi scrapbook, that, isn't it?
Imagine if they put those leathers on at the last minute, wouldn't they? Because they didn't know he was going to win the world championship right down to the last lap. But you can see they are the 5 world titles for Jorge Lorenzo. His second, or 2 in 250s. His third in MotoGP. His first since 2012. And for the first time in the whole of 2015, at the last race, down to the last lap, Valentino Rossi lost the points lead in the world championship right at the end.
And it's only the third time in the 67-year history of Grand Prix racing that a rider who's been behind on points has come through to win the World Championship. Commiserations to Valentino Rossi. He really could have done no more.
Well, you're not going to see more contrasting emotions than the two sides of that factory Yamaha garage. Unadulterated joy on one side for Jorge Lorenzo. There's Dani Pedrosa. Let's not forget, amidst all the World Championship celebrations, that was a magnificent 100th Premier Class podium finish by Dani Pedrosa. And all those millions of Valentino Rossi fans around the world suddenly would have become millions of Dani Pedrosa fans.
And Marquez fans as well.
Hector Barbera there, sporting a number 1 because he has won the Open Class Championship. Barbera, he finished outside of the points in 16th, but with Loris Baz down in 19th. Barbera is the top Open Class rider in 2015.
Listen to the reception for Valentino Rossi. He could have done no more.
But he knows that 10th World Championship has just eluded him after a great ride by this man, Jorge Lorenzo.
That is just outside our commentary box, which is now filled with tyre smoke.
I think he's quite happy. Quite rightly, it was a brilliant ride by Jorge Lorenzo. The 4th time this year he's won in front of his home crowd in Spain. What a time to complete the quartet. He is the 2015 MotoGP World Champion, and that's what it means, because that race would have taken everything out of Jorge Lorenzo, physically and mentally. He will now be drained, emotional. We don't see a lot of emotion from Jorge Lorenzo, but you have to say, he is a worthy world champion, no doubt about that.
Smiles from Valentino Rossi and a thumbs up. He could have done no more than what he did. It was a brilliant ride. Crowd will be supporting him. I really hope, though, they give Jorge Lorenzo the reception he deserves when he stands on that top step of the podium. He is drained. He has given that absolutely everything. There is nothing left in the locker for Jorge Lorenzo.
Well, with 2 laps to go, with Marc Marquez and then Dani Pedrosa coming into the frame, he was only about 5 miles away from losing the World Champions, because at that time it looked like Marquez and Pedrosa were the faster riders. But when he had to dig deep, when he had to call upon all those reserves of talent, Jorge Lorenzo delivered.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you've seen a better motorsport season than we've seen in these 18 rounds of the 2015 World Championship, tell me what it was. This was a remarkable season and ended with a remarkable race.
Yeah, my fingernails have gone again, that's for sure. Oh. There's Lorenzo's father coming to congratulate his son. All those years, those early years on pocket bikes in Spain, learning how to master his skills with his father. And that's what it was all about today. It was all for this moment. the moment Jorge Lorenzo produced probably one of the best races of his life. He came under incredible pressure, but when he was asked the questions, he came up with all the answers.
What a season, what a race. And they're all back to work on Tuesday. First test for 2016 starts here in Valencia on Tuesday.
If he's got over the headache from tonight, yes, definitely.
Some party, I would imagine, tonight, and rightly so. Congratulations, Jorge Lorenzo, the 2015 MotoGP World Champion. The moment he knew that he was the title holder. 30 laps of pressure, intensity, and I think nobody, unless they've been in that position, could ever feel or understand.
Commiserations from Valentino Rossi's army of supporters. As Nick said, he could not have done anything more. He was on the back foot. That grid penalty dropping him to the back of the grid after all the controversy in Malaysia. He fought his way through to 4th place, but it just was not enough. He needed help from these two men. You have to say Marc Marquez and Dani Pedrosa, there's not a lot more that they could have done to try and beat him.
Don't think we want any nonsense about that. They gave it absolutely everything, didn't they?
You think 5 or 6 laps from the end, maybe a little bit more. Dani Pedrosa was 2.5 seconds behind that battle for the victory.
End of a difficult season for Marc Marquez, but he's ended in great style. And Dani Pedrosa, what an end to the season for him. A season that started in Qatar when we thought perhaps his World Championship career was over. Well, let's have a look a bit further down, shall we? Pol Espargaro 5th, Bradley Smith 6th, Andrea Dovizioso 7, Cal Crutchlow, an absolutely brilliant 9th place behind Leish Espargaro, having to start from the back of the grid. Maverick Vinales 11, 12 Michele Pirro, 13 Yoni Hernandez, 14 Alvaro Batista, and Scott Redding in 15th place.
Well, Danny, what a race that was. You were down by 2.6 seconds at one point, and all of a sudden you just came back. I mean, where did that come from? Did you think you could maybe get past Marc and Jorge?
Yes. I was not comfortable, especially on the beginning of the race, so I lose time and I was dropping a little bit. I tried to get closer at the middle of the race, but still I wasn't matching the correct rhythm because I was suffering a lot with the front. But then I decided to not to lose too much and try to stay saving a little bit the tire, and then towards the end I knew I had some extra, so I tried to push and I was focused. I was enjoying a lot because I was recovering, and actually I had a good time there in the last laps. I enjoyed and well, I tried the pass, but I ran wide and finally 3rd because in the last lap I made a mistake with the gear in one corner, so I couldn't really stay close. But well, happy anyway because today had some issues with the bike, but now. This is I finished 4th overall the championship with all the problems I've had this year, so it's quite impressive.
Thank you very much, Danny. Congratulations.
Well, I tell you what, I think Dani Pedrosa was happy with that for a long time. It was a great ride, great end to the season for Dani Pedrosa. Boy, Lorenzo celebrating with the team. What a team he's had around him, headed by Ramon Furtado. You can see the man in the classes, the crew chief.
And Max Biaggi there, of course, great friends of Jorge Lorenzo, joining in the pre-podium celebrations and embrace from the 4x 250cc world champion.
Max Biaggi say thank you very much for beating Valet.
Lynn Jarvis offering his congratulations to Jorge Lorenzo.
They're on their way home. Well, on the way home, I think they're on the way down the start-finish straight at the moment, aren't they? It's like an organised track invasion, as there should be. Here's Marc Marquez.
Well, Marc, what a race that was. You were with Jorge pretty much all the time in those last laps. You were getting so close. Danny told us, though, a few problems with the front. He even caught up to you. I mean, you must have been at the limit.
Yeah, in the beginning, Jorge pushed really strong. I was riding over the limit, and I think on that laps where Danny just cooled down a little bit the tires, I was trying a lot in the last laps. I was preparing the attack for the last 2 laps for try to overtake and push the last lap. But when Danny overtake me, there we lose time, and then I tried to catch Jorge. I tried in the last corner to inside, but I saw that Was a lot of risk. I nearly lose the front, and then okay. Second place is not the best way to finish the season, and next season we will try to fight again for the title.
Thank you very much, Mark. Congratulations.
Yeah, Marc Marquez, he trailed Jorge Lorenzo, but he is the master of running at the front. I got to say, at one point I thought Marquez was going to get him. He did not. He's found his feet now, hasn't he, Jorge Lorenzo?
Yeah, he certainly has.
I got to say, I think he's a very worthy world champion. For everything of Valentino Rossi. What a performance by the 36-year-old. But Lorenzo is quick, and I think that whole race summed up Jorge Lorenzo.
Yeah, the two Repsol Honda men just talking about how they did everything they could to hunt down and pass Jorge Lorenzo. But here he is, the 2015 MotoGP World Champion, coming to talk to Dylan.
Well, Jorge, you came into this weekend, you were down on points. What an occasion it was. In this race, you are now 5 times world champion. But in the end, also, tell us about that pressure from the Hondas you had.
It's easy to say, but a lot of pressure. The rear tire was destroyed. To be honest, I didn't see anything in the straight in all the laps. I didn't see the board. I didn't see how many laps was to finish. So I just tried to focus myself to go as fast as possible, sliding around and moving so much the bike. So I just keep my concentration and pray to finish the race. Now I am 5 times world champion. It's easy to say, but now we make an unbelievable job. Yamaha make an unbelievable bike, and my team is perfect this season. So I'm very, very proud to have this season for Spain, for this world title for Spain.
Thank you very much, Jorge. Congratulations.
Congratulations to Jorge Lorenzo. He looks absolutely drained of emotion and of energy. And he said the rear tyre was sliding around all over the place.
Got that big streak in him, of course, because that burnout that he did, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't think that was caused by the race.
I think that was when he was just revving that engine to about 20,000 RPM to celebrate winning his world championship.
Well, the podium awaits. One must feel sorry for Valentino Rossi, but once again it's the action on the track that has shone through after a very difficult 2 weeks for MotoGP.
Well, there are a lot of fans that have gathered underneath the podium for the podium ceremony here. We hope they are respectful towards the new world champion.
There is photographers fighting to get the picture. Say over 600 journalists here this weekend, a crowd of 110,000, nearly 111,000. And they were not let down in any way. 2 new world champions, Danny Kent in Moto3, Jorge Lorenzo in MotoGP.
We'll just run through a couple of stats and facts about Jorge Lorenzo. He's the first Spanish rider to win the Premier Class World title on 3 occasions. He's the second most successful Spanish rider of all time now after Angel Nieto. Incredible as well, he's the first rider in Premier Class history to win the World Championship, having not finished on the podium in the first 3 races. Of course, you forget, don't you, after it was such a difficult start to the year for him, wasn't it?
And the Qatar with that helmet trouble. Jerez, Argentina and Austin. And then he started coming into form. But he had to leave it to the last couple of laps of this final race of the season to clinch that world title. Podium awaits for the last time this season. What an amazing MotoGP season it has been. Jorge Lorenzo, the world champion. Valentino Rossi in second place. Marc Marquez third. Danny Pedrosa, Andrea Iannone, and Bradley Smith is your top 6.
Social media will be buzzing now after that unbelievable finale to the 2015 MotoGP World Championship. Jorge Lorenzo, of course, the new world champion. Let us know what you feel about that. Hashtag Lorenzo Champ on Facebook and Twitter. A warm embrace there from the former king of Spain to the new king of MotoGP.
Podium awaits the new world champion. What a way to win the world title by winning an amazing final race from start to finish. From start to finish just does not tell the story in any way. What a ride by Valentino Rossi. those early laps, he was scything through the field, wasn't he? It's like a hot knife through butter, but we knew once he got into fourth, that was it, and then it was down to the Hondas, and boy, did they try to beat Jorge Lorenzo.
Yeah, just from Marc Marquez, what he said there. Overcooked his front tyre while trying to stay with Lorenzo. Dani Pedrosa, as he did in Japan somewhat in the rain, he just managed his tyres, and when he came back to it, he was able to close the gap. Here he is though, Dani Pedrosa, for the 100th time, steps on the Premier Class podium. Second place for his teammate Marc Marquez.
And here is the 2015 world champion, it's Jorge Lorenzo. Bit of a mixed reception there for Marc Marquez, I felt, did you?
Yeah, a little bit for Jorge Lorenzo as well.
What a year it has been for Yamaha, their 60th anniversary. They won the Constructors' title, they've won the team title, and now Jorge Lorenzo has brought them the Riders' Championship.
Triple crown for Yamaha for the first time since 2010. Third place trophy going to Dani Pedrosa for, as we said, the 100th time in his MotoGP career. And the second rider to reach that milestone behind Valentino Rossi, his 141st podium of his Grand Prix career.
Marc Marquez stuck with Lorenzo out throughout the race, but he has to hand over that World Championship trophy to his fellow Spaniard. Second place for Marc Marquez, third in the World Championship. But he's won the race, the 7th Grand Prix victory of the season. He is the 2015 MotoGP World Champion. Congratulations to Jorge Lorenzo.
40th MotoGP victory of Jorge Lorenzo's career. 61st in total. And that's what it means to the 28-year-old from Palma de Mallorca, new world champion.
Somebody asked him yesterday, was there any tears after that qualifying lap? He said no, but there'll be plenty of tears tomorrow if he wins the World Championship. And I think there was, wasn't there? Inside the helmet before he even got back to the start and finish.
There's a happier and more relieved man than Jorge Lorenzo on the planet right now. I'd like to meet him, because what a feeling it must be to win a World Championship, a MotoGP World Championship, in such dramatic fashion at the final round of the championship. He came into this race trailing Valentino Rossi by 7 points. As Nick said, only Wayne Rainey and Nicky Hayden have overturned points deficits in the past. Make that number 3 though for Jorge Lorenzo.
I think he's going to give this. I think he's going to give. I think he's going to celebrate with the team, isn't he? He's made it quite clear where he's going. They said, "No, please don't do that." I don't think he's run off the podium to be difficult. I think he wants to get. He was asking that for the champagne, wasn't he, to be given to the team, or perhaps to his mum and dad. I don't know who it was, but that was the reason.
What a year it's been for Yamaha in their 60th anniversary. We knew that they won the Team World Championship. We knew they won the Constructor World Championship. It was all about individual honours today.
Great here. Dani Pedrosa receiving some real well-deserved applause and chanting.
Look look at Danny Pedrosa's form in the last 4 or 5 races, I don't believe they scored more points out than Pedrosa since he's returned to full fitness.
Salute the master, salute the doctor, salute Valentino Rossi. Grand Prix victory number 5 of the season for Jorge Lorenzo.
Oh, Marquez goes for the victory!
What a race! Danny Pedrosa wins the 50th Grand Prix of his career.
Chance now for Lorenzo to make his break.
Pedrosa again on the inside.
Rossi lost crucial ground.
Lorenzo into here in Motorland. Let battle commence. Pedrosa is absolutely flying.
Danny Pedrosa leads.
And Lorenzo's running wide. Pedrosa wins here in Japan. 18 points separate. Look at Lorenzo.
Valentino Rossi makes his stick. Oh, Andrea, you know, the unbelievable from the Italian. Marquez is close to him. He's going to move through and the breaks down into turn 10. What a last lap.
What a race.
Lorenzo makes his move up the inside the first corner. Marquez says take it straight back at turn number 10.
Oh, Marquez is gone. MotoGP 2015, it just does not get any better than that. I hope you've enjoyed the season as much as we have. We've enjoyed you being with us. We've loved every moment of those 18 races. A massive thank you to Matt Burt sitting alongside me and Dylan Gray down in pit lane. A season none of us will ever forget. And Jorge Lorenzo, the 2015 MotoGP World Champion. Right, we're taking a big deep breath. Matt's taking a big deep breath here. Let's have a look at what the classifications will never tell us. They could never illustrate, whatever these classifications say, what an amazing season we have had. Culminating here in another unbelievable race in Valencia.
Yeah, it's been an absolute privilege to be part of such an unbelievable 2015 MotoGP World Championship. And quite rightly, it was decided right down to the very last lap.
Jorge Lorenzo wins. Marc Marquez and Danny Pedrosa Valentino Rossi, what a ride from the back of the grid into 4th place. Paolo Spargaro, Bradley Smith in 6th place. Andrea Dovizioso, Alicia Spargaro, great ride by Cal Crutchlow from the back row.
Danilo Petrucci completed that top 10. Vinales, Pirro, Hernandez, Bautista and Scott Redding on his final 100 appearance. They were your point scoring finishes. Hector Barbera in 16th place, but he did secure the Open Class Championship by 5 points from Loris Baz. Baz, the Frenchman, ends his first season in MotoGP down in 19th place.
Yeah, Nicky Hayden bows out of an amazing Grand Prix career in 17th place. All important championship positions. 5 points separate the Yamaha pair of Jorge Lorenzo and Valentino Rossi.
Dani Pedrosa's 100th podium secured him 4th place after Andrea Iannoni's early crash. Great top 10 finish overall for Danilo Petrucci. The 2 Suzukis of Alicia Spargaro and Maverick Vinales in 11th and 12th places respectively. Hector Barbera 15th in the overall World Championship standings, top Open Class rider by those 5 points clear of Loris Baz.
There's Jack Miller in his maiden MotoGP season, Nicky Hayden in his last MotoGP season, Eugene Lafferty, Mike DeMeglia, Roshi Oyama, Takahashi and Tony Elias coming in at the end of the season. And Alex DeAngelis, what a welcome sight seeing him as a spectator here this weekend. Well, it's a clean sweep for Yamaha. Constructors' Championship. Yamaha have won it from Honda, Ducati, Suzuki, Aprilia, Forward Yamaha and ART. 14th MotoGP Constructors' Championship for Yamaha. The Team Championship. Movistar Yamaha MotoGP from Repsol Honda, Ducati. Good season for Monster Yamaha Tech 3. Suzuki X-Star, Octo Pramac Racing, LCR Honda, Mark VDS. For a little bit further down, Forward Racing, Aprilia in their first season, Aspar and Emotion Iota Racing in 13th place. Open Riders classifications. Congratulations to Hector Barbera. Congratulations also to Loris Baz. What a maiden season in the MotoGP World Championship for the Frenchman. And Jack Miller and Nicky Hayden, Bradle Lafferty, DeMeglio, Pirro and Tony Elias. So the end of a truly remarkable MotoGP season. So what a race to end the year. See you in 2016.